Good to see people coming in. The numbers are growing, and we are gonna just start. This is this is the time we said we're gonna start, so we're gonna start. Today we are honored to talk to Tal Florentin. And we're going to talk about empowering product makers in the age of AI. Uh, let me start by doing intros to the system we're in, Crowdcast, so you know how to use it, and then I'll intro Tal, and then we'll go and we'll start the conversation. So first of all, welcome. You're here. This is it. This is the webinar. We are using a platform called Crowdcast. So just a couple of important things to learn about Crowdcast. And actually, as I'm doing this, I'm gonna move myself so you can see the screen better, the screen share. So the main area is the main stage. This is where I'm showing up in my deck, and Tal will show up in a moment, and that's where we're gonna have the conversation. Everyone here who signed up, you're only visible in chat, so you are free to chat and participate. We encourage you to introduce yourselves, but don't ask your questions of us in chat. You can talk to each other, and you can kind of support us and introduce yourselves, but we have a special ask questions section. It's this little question mark. And if you ask there, then everybody else will be able to see your question, vote on it, and we're gonna at the end of the conversation stop and pick up some questions and kind of see which one of us has something interesting to say about your questions. We also have a little poll. We have a couple polls there, and also on the sidebar. Basically asking you what's your role, and tell us a little bit about your level of familiarity with AI. So as you vote, we're going to take a look and try to adapt to the level of expertise in the room, and the level of and the type of people in the room. This webinar is recorded. This is usually the most common question. It's recorded, and you don't need to do anything. Just this link is where the recording will live. This is one of the things I like about Crowdcast. If you have the link to the webinar, you also have the link to the recording. So if you signed up, you'll be able to access it. If you sign up by now. So let me give you a few introductions, or two introductions. I'm gonna read Tal's intro. If he wants to correct me later, he can. And then I'll tell you just a couple of things about myself. So Tal Florentin is the founder of Sushi Lab and Product Makers. He is a UX leader and former software engineer who spent 20 plus years at the intersection of technology and human behavior. Over the past 18 years, he's designed around 300 digital products for Fortune top 500 companies, and he's also trained the next generation of makers as a UX educator and mentor. Anybody who's here from Tel Aviv knows Tal. He founded UXV, Israel's UX certification program, with 900 plus graduates who've helped shape the local UX industry. And he's the author of the UX Experience, or the UX Design, published in Hebrew and then adapted into both English and Chinese. Very, very influential book. Most of the Israeli tech industry, that's the book that they give people who want to learn about UX. A couple of words about myself. So I'm Eran Dror, a product person for almost 20 years, worked for a bunch of startups. And today I am the co-founder and CEO of Evermuse, which is an AI product for product teams. We like to call it an AI intelligence agency for product teams. So you might see a very, very subtle shameless plug later. Super subtle, you won't even notice, and then basically we can start the conversation from here. So with that being said, good to see folks from San Francisco, good to see folks joining from various places in the world. Please keep introducing yourselves, and please welcome Tal Florentin. Tal, welcome to the conversation.
Eran, thank you so much for having me.
All right. So I made this is because this is a a conversation um, about creators and empowering creators with AI. I made AI generated photos for my questions. So I'm gonna show the first the first photo, and you've been mentioning recently that you this might be the end of UX, that UX might be transforming, partly because of AI. What do you think? What do you think is happening to UX? Why do you think it's the end?
Wow, we started with the biggest question and the most dramatic one. So I think in order to put it in perspective and be able to start with this dramatic sentence, uh, I'd like to give you my point of view. So I've been, as you mentioned, I'm coming from software engineering, where I spent my first professional decade around 28 years ago. Uh, as a software engineer, I've in a certain way, I always say that I'm a bit of the Forrest Gump of the local digital industry, and the reason why I mention it is because when I was around 7 or 8 years old, I spent some time in the Tel Aviv University, where my father was the manager of the computers center there, and the computer center was one computer, a very big one. So I actually had the opportunity to see the involvement of software engineering being built and grown into what it is now. I'm pretty young for being able to look at that perspective, but I think it's around 40 years of looking at that from different points of view. And I see the cycles and repeating patterns, and they always say that in order to see the future, you need to know the history, because things repeat themselves. So coming from that point of view and being a designer and the UX leading voice over the last 20 years, I've been seeing a lot of evolution, and I think user experience has been growing, and now it's reached the end of growing, and now it starts to get back into kind of a minimized version. And there are many reasons for that. The main reason is the overwhelming attention that AI requires from everybody. And since this is a dramatic change in technology and in evolution, and everybody knows that it's that dramatic, my main point is that we don't have enough attention to give to quality processes and UX among them. And I think what will probably happen within the next few I think it's starting now, and it will appear in the next few months or so, is that the expectation is going to be focused on adding AI, showing AI capabilities, showing your AI ROI in organizations. And the first thing that's going to suffer from that attention is the lack of attention to user experience processes and quality. And you see it shaping the way designers are hired, because they are expected nowadays to do a lot of AI things. And
Yeah.
this brings them closer to doing the front end, connecting to developers, and so on, which, as we know, drives the attention from asking deep questions and doing deep research into tactics and practices. And since the industry has to show ROI and reduce the time to market and so on, uh, we can't have keep the full attention to all of the elements. And this is the shift that I'm seeing, and I think it's going to require a deep change in what a UX designer is. And hopefully, since things repeat themselves, we may see the attention going back to that category when the attention will be reduced from the AI industry. But this is not something that we see anytime close. So I think designers have to be on the move, figuring out what's the next step, what they have to learn before others to be relevant and to bring the change to their company or organization, or else they're going to find themselves irrelevant. And you started with mentioning that I have more than 900 graduates. I'm hell scared about their future. Honestly, I can't
Mm.
sleep at night thinking about what's going to happen to the market, asking whether they are going to be able to prepare
Yeah.
and deal with that. And I'm honestly scared, and this is why I really want people to start asking questions, doing quick moves. And I'll add another element. I think the way UX design is changing is creating a different profession that fits different personalities, because
Mm.
people start talking about, just a sentence I heard today, connecting Figma Make into Cursor with an MCP.
Yeah.
The reason why a lot of people don't do that and went to design is in order not to deal with that sentence
Not to have to do,
any
yeah,
time in
not to
their
have
in
to
their in
learn
their
what
life.
MCP is. Yeah, yeah,
And this requires different personas that have different passions. And I have conversations with designers that say, but this is not what I signed up for. I don't want to do
so
that, even though I need to do that. It's not my
on,
passion.
on,
So
on a more optimistic note, actually, I listened over the weekend. I listened to the head of design at Cursor, and they just launched a new tool for designers to within Cursor to for the people who more think in pixels and want to move things around, for the code to be done for you. And I think his message was that I resonate with from our own startup is there's not going to be a designer and a coder and a UXer, and we're all just going to be makers, right? We're all going to be working together. I feel like as a product person with a UX background, that I can now build whole features. And in fact, I'm building a secret podcasting app on my free time over the weekend, and it just keeps getting better and better. Like it's already better than production apps in some ways, and it's just me. And I don't even read the code that I'm writing. I'm just vibe coding. Um, so um, so the positive side of that is like, okay, maybe we don't need anyone who's just doing UX, but if you want to take responsibility and bring a feature to life, you can bring it all the way to life in some ways, with some supervision with engineers, but you can make more things happen.
So coming from software engineering and then moving into design and user experience and then
Yeah,
becoming an entrepreneur and the founder, this is the dream come true for me. It's the first time I don't need to explain anything to anybody. I do everything on my own, and I have the ability to be from A to Z and bring a product to life,
yeah,
knowing that I do the right processes, because I will not skip any of the steps that needs to be we need to go through in order to create something that's uh, actually a product.
yeah,
But this is a privilege of very small portion of professionals,
yeah,
and I'm feeling very uncomfortable with the others that don't have these skills and have to be moving towards product, towards front end coding, and start having conversations that are not simple,
yeah,
and figuring out what they need to learn in a situation where nobody really knows what you need to learn because everything is changing every 10 seconds.
yeah,
This is a complex era for a lot of people to deal with. So,
yeah. It's not going to be easy. I can tell you from even our own team. We we have engineers who like being individual contributors. They like writing code. That's what they have been doing their whole career. And now, if you're willing to let AI do it, and effectively you become a manager rather than a coder, then you're 10 times more productive, maybe more. And if you're not, if you still want to write all the code or yourself, you're too expensive for that. Like so when we're talking to them, we're saying you're becoming managers. You wanted to be an engineer, but you have to be an engineering lead because you now have 10 AIs that work for you. Um, and I think that's kind of true across the board. Everybody's becoming a manager. If you liked being a manager, I kind of liked running my team giving everyone the kind of input they need to do a great job, then it's the same process, just faster and cheaper. Um, right? So it's really interesting. So you talked about your process as a creator. Here's my second graph. As a creator, there's more options out there now, and you seem to be really, really deep into that. So you want to tell us about what your experience as a creator with AI? What are you finding?
So I think I've went through a few steps, like everybody else. The ChatGPT situation where you started asking questions and getting interesting answers, good or bad, or hallucinating or whatever. And then you started to figure out that something new is happening, and then it moved into Mid Journey, creating visuals, which was mind blowing, and then video and so on. I think the major element that changed my perspective dramatically was testing Lovable for the first time. It happened around a year ago, where one of the influencers, leading influencers in the AI ecosystem, these are people that I really love and really hate at the same time.
Yeah,
It's horrible. I can't follow them because they create endless FOMO, but I have to stay connected. So
yeah,
uh, one of them wrote that for the first time you can actually turn a Figma design into a running code, and this is a message I've been hearing as a professional for over 20 years, knowing that it's not going to happen and
yeah,
it doesn't work. So I logged into Lovable with the the open Figma file I had in my desktop, and I tried, and 10 minutes afterwards I said, okay, it's not working. It's awesome. I can go on with my life and know that it's just a FOMO. But then I started vibe coding around what I got. So can
yeah,
you move the menu, and can you align it to the left, and then make it open, and so on. 2 hours later, I had the full product working, and then it was work for a very big company, and I was saying to myself, "Oh my God, I have to show them tomorrow morning what I just built." And then I woke up the next morning and I said, "Oh my God, I can't show it to them because four people are in charge of actually developing that in the next quarter."
and it's done.
And
Yeah,
I actually finished 70% of that in 2 hours yesterday.
that's right.
And I'm a designer. I'm not supposed to be the one
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I decided not to share that with them.
Mm.
And the evolution of me and my relationship, deep relationship with Lovable, was that after kind of learning if it fits the requirements that I have, which are having the code for my own and connecting GitHub and other stuff that were important to me, having a real database and so on, I actually moved into the second project, which was a real thing that I really needed, which was actually my training homepage. So I
Yeah,
created a homepage, which was kind of amazing.
yeah,
And everybody did a landing page in vibe coding and said that it's nice. So I went through that. But what happened is that I figured out that I want to have a management system for my homepage. So I built a management system for the homepage, which is basically creating WordPress. And it
yeah,
took me a day or so, and I had kind of all of my dreams coming true.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it was kind of crazy. And then I said, oh my God, this is
Mm.
serious, this stuff. And then I moved into the third project, which was, okay, let's not build a landing page. Let's build something serious that I'm really interested in. And then I moved into SaaS. I created three management systems. One of them is my training management, CRM, marketing, everything,
Yeah,
finance, whatever. And the last thing that I did with Lovable was creating a full consumer project, which was it's called Eliezer.ai. It's a platform for creating Hebrew text to speech.
mm.
Uh, I just read a feed in social media saying that this is the leading tool in Hebrew for text to speech. It's very
Nice.
fun to know that I created it, and I didn't write a line of code in order to make that.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think a lot of people talk about Lovable and vibe coding as tools for mockups and pilots and kind of testing ideas, kind of doing visual thinking. And from my
Yeah.
point of view, it's I'm not stopping there. I'm actually
Nice.
aiming to have a full running project for my company. I have the full marketing assistant tool built on Lovable,
Yeah.
and I became a superhuman because I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping at any point saying there's no ROI for that or there's no chance I'm
Oh yeah,
going
you
to
just
do
do
that.
it. You just do it.
I do it, and then the fun thing that happens, I go back to my clients, which were the ones that I created the Lovable project and didn't share with them.
Yeah.
And and this is a giant company. It's one of the Fortune 500. It's huge. Their budget is endless. They work in a building that's kind of the most crazy building here in the area. And I entered the company and I see the gap between my abilities and their abilities.
Yeah, it's
And I
insane.
think one of the crazy situations is that I feel like I'm at least 7 workers. I'm equal to 7 workers at their company,
Yeah.
and they don't realize that this difference. And this is a situation that cannot keep on being. I always said that if you put a cold glass of water in a very hot room,
Yeah.
it's a matter of time until the water fit to the temperature. So they're
Yeah.
not going to stay locked in their
In
closed
your little
world
bubble.
for
Yeah.
a long time. And then something is going to really change, and the dynamic and structure and processes of companies is going to dramatically change.
Yeah.
And
So I
I
can tell
think
you
if you're not
something.
becoming a maker, you're
Yeah.
going to have a hard time being relevant in the new economic that's kind of being created.
I totally agree with that. I had a very similar trajectory to yours. I started with Lovable, and very quickly I was like, oh, I can build my whole website here. I started with prototypes, and then I was like, actually, let's do the real website, and let's add a data. At some point, we needed a blogging platform. By that time, we moved to Replit, which is very similar to Lovable, just has maybe has more developer tools around it. If you want to kind of uh, have a little bit more power available to you, if you want to control it a little bit more, but very similar. So we built the website in Replit, um, and then we needed a blogging platform. And I was like, I'm not paying for a blogging platform. So we built that. And then we were saying, then we needed a help support system. And I was looking at Zendesk and like Intercom and all, and I was like, this is too much. It took me a couple of hours to build our own Zendesk replacement that works beautifully. As right now, we don't really need anything more, and this is my default now. If we need like later, I was frustrated with our productivity tool, and I just coded our own productivity tool. um
Let
and
me add
so
that
yeah,
I replaced Mailchimp or any
that's
email
impressive. Yeah.
messaging platform, including taking care of the design of the layout of the email that people are going to get, and
Nice.
creating templates and managing sending. This is kind of, and it took
Yeah.
me, I don't know, 4 hours of work
Are you
to
using
say,
SendGrid in
wow,
the background, or how are you
I'm using Resend in the background.
okay,
Pretty much the
okay.
same.
So using some sending API. Yeah, exactly. So it's all kind of becomes components. I think that's really lovely if you kind of build the confidence to go in and do that. Um, and I think part of probably what people expect from us is to give them some of that confidence and some of that. So let's start with the tools. Like I'm wondering if you can help me here. This is the graphic. This is not AI. This is not AI generated. But what tools are you using? What are you excited by today? And maybe a little bit about how you're using them. And like any tips to get us started if you wanted to live with your level of freedom.
So I'll take the opportunity to share a thought.
Yeah,
One of the things that people ask me in my courses and training Lovable to designers and product managers and so on, the main question I get is why are your activities focused on Lovable? And there's Base 44 and then Replit and Cursor and then the million other platforms. And my answer kind of annoys some of them because my answer is, what happens with FOMO nowadays is that people say, I didn't like Lovable. Did you test Base 44 or so on? And I say that I kind of mapped the products that are going to fit to my requirements. The first requirement is that I'm not interested in finding myself spending most of my time in front of code. I want to spend most of my time in front of visuals and text messaging. This
yeah,
basically reduces the number of products that fit that requirement. And then I created a list of a few requirements, and Lovable fit to that a year ago. And
yeah,
then I started working with that, creating kind of an expertise with that specific tool. And at no point, at no situation, I felt like it's not working for me, so I need to go into a different tool. It was kind of what wasn't working. I worked harder to make it work, and I
mm,
stayed there. And when people ask me, so which tool is better, I'm saying, I didn't register to become your uh, recommendation expert and testing 700 platforms and saying which one is best. And the ones who did that don't know any of them because they tested them for 7 seconds.
yeah.
And what happens is that they say, okay, so Lovable doesn't support security. But what happens 7 minutes afterwards is that Lovable does
They
support
added it.
security,
Yeah, they
but you
added a
didn't know
great
that
security.
because you're not updated.
Yeah,
So my philosophy is not learning 700 tools and kind of keeping up to date with all of them. I think you should stick to one that you believe in and focus and be an expert on that. And once you're good with that, go on with the others. So I have to say that my stack is not very impressive. I spent a lot of time with Lovable. People ask me, do you ask ChatGPT to improve your prompts? I say no. I ask Lovable to improve my prompts because they have their own LLM. So
yeah,
one thing
yeah,
that you're not usually you're not thinking because you're expecting the LLM of Lovable to be your coder, and you expect the to have the other conversations with a different LLM. But
yeah.
it's an
You can.
LLM, so you could ask questions and get answers,
It
and you don't
has
need to
chat
go out
mode
of that.
too. I,
Yeah, and there are
I,
three different philosophies of how to use that. So I'm actually
yeah.
staying a lot in that tool because it gives me whatever I need. So
I think Lovable is kind of designed as it's the most um, the one that hides code the most, right? So it gives you it wants you to build and look at what you're building and the chat and not really worry about the code. And they handle the database for you. They chose Supabase as the database, and they're just going to go with it. So it's a really really great way to start. I think what we found is in our company, it's a very complex product with AI and complex workflows and databases and infrastructure um, and it just it couldn't do any of that stuff. Cursor does that stuff really beautifully. It has an amazing debug mode. It has an amazing planning mode, and it can kind of sit on your code base and but what I've learned is the model actually matters more than the tool. When a lot of these tools use Claude 4.5, and so maybe Cursor makes it more visible. You can choose any model you want, and you can get a little bit more interested in. So, for instance, we use Opus 4.5 for the plan, and then we use Sonnet 4.5 for the execution. And each of them has benefits. But you have to. I think it only becomes valuable when it gets to really, really complex products. Um, and if you just want to build something web simple with a simple database, you never leave Lovable. I agree with that. But in tools, there's other tools, right? What other there's there's image generation and video generation and characters and what yeah
Yeah.
what
So just to fill in my kind of my perspective. So I'm working on Lovable to create some supporting tools for whatever I do, which is mainly
yeah
hosting my product makers courses. And I'm running Sushi Lab, which is an AI platform for creating a digital avatar for organizations and to put their messaging and uh, kind of storytelling upfront with a digital persona, which is either fictive or a clone of somebody. So I'm what we did is not creating a new technology. We're actually combining all of the most updated technologies in the same place, so you don't need to go to different places. And I'm
mm,
spending a lot of time testing any image creation tool, audio creation tools, video creation platforms, and so on, combining them together. So I think like everybody, Nano Banana is mind blowing with its kind of unique prompts. Adding that to the new image generation model that OpenAI launched earlier today, which is I did some quick tests to see, and it's mind blowing.
yeah
Uh, of course, Audio 11 Labs is the most mind blowing tool out there.
yeah
Uh, and I think my interest is less in using these tools to kind of create expertise in prompting. My most my main attention is combining them into use cases, and this is something that I want to mention to everybody here with us.
mm,
I think we're having uh, we're seeing the end of the first era of AI tools, which bring you a very basic ability. And what you can see with the recent updates of ChatGPT and Nano Banana and so on, I guess everybody saw the trend of having selfies with celebrities. I think 7 million people shared their this. This
yeah
got to I think it gets to the end of how high quality and kind of how innovative it could be. It generally, in within a few months, could turn any idea you have in mind into something that's visual. Uh, and now we step into the second phase of AI tools, which are we're not just giving you the basic ability, we're
mm,
combining abilities in order to fit to a use case, in order to fit to a need of a specific profession. And this is where makers that are able to combine tools and fit them into a workflow that's fitting into a very specific need.
yeah
And what we see is that going back to big organizations, they don't have the time to stop whatever they do and figure
mm.
out how to make AI combinations work for them.
Yeah, you need
So
to
they don't
mess
do
around with
anything.
it. You need to have time to mess around with it and make
You need
mistakes
to
and
define
yeah yeah
that each one of your workers is going to work, 3 days, and the other 2 days learn and test things in order to be relevant, and then we're going to build tools, but nobody does that. So you end up not knowing anything, and then you need makers to connect the different tools in order to feed them to what you do. And I think this is going to be a very interesting period of improving processes for companies.
yeah
And I think this is the reason why you need a maker as a full-time job within a company, because we need somebody to do that.
yeah
And this is kind of evolving. And I do think that UX designers could be the best next makers because they
yeah
have the most accurate point of view. But they
mm,
need to evolve into that. So I think again, looking from exploring tools, I'm moving towards looking at sequences. And I think sequences, this is the thing that makes me most excited. Creating a
mm,
sequence that's using technology that some giant company like OpenAI or Google or whatever created, and combining it with another technology of another giant
yeah
into a flow that's optimized for somebody that wouldn't be able to do the optimization, and
yeah
bringing them into a single button that's kind of mind blowing.
so we were talking about before that this really it kind of feels like you're a company of one uh, in the sense that you have all of these AI tools um, serving you in different capacities, and then you put them together into whatever flows you want, and you sort of become this the CEO of your own company, except you're the only one there. Um, yeah, how do you think about this? Like, is this like, because this is how you live, right? Like you're still the only person now running this company, right?
So first of all, I have to say that in Sushi Lab we have a development team that's
Yeah,
offshore. It has been there for uh, 9 years, coming from the previous product I created. So there's a development team in place.
yeah,
Uh, I had to struggle with decision making and prioritizing because whenever I needed them to do something for marketing, I had to stop product, which is kind of something that you feel really uncomfortable doing. And
yeah,
nowadays, I don't do that because all of my marketing is wrapped with Lovable and other stuff like that. So they do the product
yeah,
specifically on Sushi Lab. On other things, I do the product on my own as well.
yeah,
Uh, I think this is where things are kind of leading. It allows me to build the army of professionals I need and kind of map and fit them to what I need. But I think the place where I stop at that point, and it's not because I don't want to or I didn't get the chance to explore enough, is covering sales and marketing activities with agents, because I think agents is a big word that when you kind of connect it to the reality, we're still testing phase of what an agent is and how it solves your processes. And I think it's
yeah,
really hard to set an army of agents and feed them to what you need as a one man operation. Uh,
yeah,
so so I think once I cover that, I will totally be a one man operation, feeling very comfortable with that. But
yeah,
I want to add another message to everybody, if I may. When I started my previous company and the company I run now, the question was, are we doing something that nobody else is doing? Because in order to become a unicorn, you want to do something that's kind of very unique. And I think there's a very big change on the opportunities that the new world is bringing, because I've been having a metaphor that's kind of working super interestingly recently, and it came from a maker I had had a webinar with a few months ago. And I think when you look at supermarkets, supermarket is not a very unique idea, right? Nobody
right.
invented a huge idea saying I'm going to build a supermarket. And even
Well,
though,
someone was the first, right? Someone
yeah,
invented the
I'm
supermarket.
not sure. Yeah, but if you're going to build a supermarket for your uh, neighborhood, still the people around you are going to go to your supermarket, even though you're not doing something dramatically interesting or unique, because they
Yeah,
just need that. So I think makers get a new door of creating small companies that do things that others do. So it's the first time I'm actually looking at what others do, and I'm asking, can I do the same in a good way and bring my own crowd for that? And if you have a personal brand and people around you, you actually have the ability to build a small tool that fits a small group of people that you can
yeah,
bring,
yeah,
and it's good enough for you to be living from that for a
yeah.
few years.
And
Uh,
if you're not taking on investment, that could be a very nice living,
you
right?
don't
Like
need
if you
to
sell
create a model that
thousands
fits
of
the
people.
investments.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
can actually create a solution. And the nice thing about that, uh, one of the people in that webinar asked the founder of that company that was hosted, they asked him if he's familiar with a giant company that's kind of the leader of the market.
Mm,
And he said something that kind of changed my way of thinking. He said, I don't remember his name, so I'm sorry for that. But he said something like, I don't know them. I'm sure they're great. And he basically dropped the ball on that, saying, I don't care about them. I have my community. They're happy. They're not looking for something else because they're happy and they have me. And we're good with that. We're not trying to compete with giants. We're good. And
yeah.
I think this is a
Uh,
new philosophy that you don't see on founders and creators. and it's
and
going to
you,
be
and you
very
definitely don't
interesting.
see in investors because they needed to go huge to get their money
Exactly.
back. So if you're going down the investment route, for transparency, we've raised money from VCs, but yeah, you have to then have a plan to go huge, and that's definitely not right for everybody. Okay,
You don't
so
need
the
to go
next
huge.
book,
You can actually connect the dots for others and
exactly.
have everybody enjoy that.
The next photo is so great. I'm gonna put us both to the side and ask you. You know, you mentioned to me when we were prepping that actually you think empathy is now it matters more, and the UX person's ability to listen matters more. What? Why do you say that?
I think that we see the evolvement of AI turning everything around, and at the first time, we're creating connections with people that are uh, not real connections, and I think the most crucial word is trust, because nobody buys nobody buys something from anybody they don't trust, and I think trust is having big issues here because trust is being uh, changing as we speak, and we know that within a few months we're not going to be able to figure out whether this is a real conversation or two AI avatars are doing that. We're actually sleeping now. It's just a matter of few months until we reach that point.
I wish I was sleeping. Let me tell you, I could use that.
So I think we will have to work with trust, and I want to give you an example. We create digital avatars for professionals, and sometimes they're fictive, and sometimes they're a clone of somebody who's actually existing. And then comes the dilemma whether you're going to say that this is AI or not. If you're not going to say that this is AI, and people are going to figure that out on their own because human abilities are good enough usually to figure out that something's not really okay there, uh, they're going to lose trust. You don't want them to lose trust. So we figured out that whenever we create a clone, an AI clone of a person, and we're using that for video, the first thing that we're going to say is that, hi, I'm the AI clone of Tal, and today we're
Yeah,
going to speak about this and that. Or sometimes I'm going to say, and this is something that one of our clients did, they said they created a video of one of their workers, and the AI clone said, the real Marina and me are very excited to see you. And then Marina showed up from the sides saying, hey, and going back to her work.
nice.
And what happens there is that you're breaking the ice. You're putting in front the fact that it is AI. The real person is giving the approval of using their face and saying, I'm busy, and but you can go on from there.
Yeah,
And everybody's smiling for a second, figuring out that it's okay. And they know that now that we're focused on content. And
yeah.
I think creating these transitions of setting up trust and kind of making people feel comfortable and figuring out what they see now is something that we're not paying attention enough because, again, we don't have the attention for that. We're focused on figuring out what tool is going to make us work more productive and so on. So I
Yeah.
think trust is going to be the next thing, and empathy is basically where this comes from, figuring out that there's,
So
at the
so
end, there
so
are
folks,
human being involved.
please ask questions. We're about to switch over to your questions. So if you have any, please go to the questions set questions and sections questions and answers section to ask your question. And my thought to you is, can AI actually help us? This is our shameless plug. Can AI actually help you with empathy? What we do is we're an AI that we call it an intelligence agency for product teams, but really what we do is listening to customers at scale and showing you what the patterns are that are emerging from that, and telling you, hey, people have this pain point, people have this need that you're not addressing, people are frustrated for this reason, and giving you all of those moments that you might be missing because you're not in every call, and allow you to basically listen with superhuman abilities. So that's my shameless plug. I wanna ask you the last question about kind of making in the age of AI. And you know, put in your science fiction hat or your like a little bit longer term. Where do you think this is all going? And what will be the relationship between AI and humans and us, creative maker humans? How is this gonna evolve?
So I think I have a hard time figuring out because this shift is so dramatic that I honestly I'll tell you something. 2 years ago, when they started saying that design is going to kind of change its way and so on, I was the one kind of saying everybody it's okay, nobody's going to lose their job, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Just wait, and if something happens, you'll know, and you'll fit yourself and so on. So I think changes are really dramatically happening more quick than we actually can imagine, and I
Mm.
think we have to be very very adaptive and be able to change ourselves and fit into the changes. I think we see AI evolving. It started with basic building blocks and changed into being much smarter. I think you mentioned it very in a very specific way where we have to become managers. One of the things that I see myself when I'm using Lovable, for example, is that my experience as a team leader for developers is the most crucial one because I'm actually talking to the engine like a team leader. I'm saying, I think you can do better than that.
Yeah.
Let's try something else. I don't know what the something else is, but I know that if
That's
I
right.
say, they will start
Yeah.
thinking in the way they do to
It's
try a
amazing
different,
that it works, but it does work. It does
and
work.
it actually
But
does
it
work.
works actually proven. You could say think hard. If you say
Yeah,
think hard, it will actually think harder and give you
and
better solutions.
and when you turn to chat mode, I define it as the team leader you go to when things don't work. You say, I asked 3 times. I don't know what's going on, but I asked 3 times and I got nothing.
Yeah.
Do your job, and then the manager kind of gets in. So I think
I
we're
I,
going to move
I have
into managing tools.
yeah, I have another dimension here, which is the keyword today in kind of AI coding is context management, managing the context. Well, what does that mean? That means defining what you want very clearly, giving all the information that the AI needs to do its job, and then when you're working with multiple AIs, passing along relevant information to a new chat or a new thread or a new whatever, different model, different agent, and say, hey, here's what I've worked on with this AI. Now I want you to look at that result and do this new other thing on top of it, right? And then really it's so similar to my job that as a product manager managing engineers and designers and giving every person what they need. Um, so I want to offer an optimistic thought about uh, the future. I don't know if it's optimistic or not, but uh, there's only two ways the relationship with AI goes. Either we're still in charge, or we're not. If we're not, basically effed. There's nothing we can do. Like humanity's over. If we're still in charge, then we're all managers, right? Then we all have armies of AIs working for us doing various things, right? And so if there's a skill that really matters is like the vision of like a leader and the skill of a manager
Let me
is
take it
what's
and shape it a bit because I follow
yeah,
you and I think you're accurate. I think as UX designers, we're problem solvers, right? We need to, as everybody says, fall in love with a problem and be the expert of that problem, which takes us to deeper research and understanding. And your tools with AI help us do that and understand more about the problem without investing the time that we needed a few ages ago. Uh, and then we need to be the experts of the solutions that are out there in order to combine them into something that fits. And this is kind of what making is all about.
Yeah.
I have a metaphor that's kind of leading me. I think it's because I'm very old, and it's watching the MacGyver shows on and on. I think MacGyver is kind of my role model. I could go to Da Vinci, but we can stay with MacGyver. I think he
Yeah.
was always an expert in physics and mechanics, and he knew where to use the gum with the smoking the smoke to see the laser,
Yeah.
and he was able to combine different tools that you wouldn't think about. And I think we should still be experts of problems and experts of solutions, and we will be the ones that are able to combine the dots and connect them. Hopefully, we will pass the trend of just show me ROI from AI. I don't care how, and I don't care what would be the quality of the product. I think we will pass that phase, and then making will be a new a new entity, a
A new
new
title. Yeah.
profession,
Right. Yeah.
and you'll find makers within companies,
Yeah.
and companies will change the way they work. So
Chief
we're
making
actually in the
officer. Chief
yeah,
making.
we're
Yeah.
actually going through the most exciting and dramatic era of software engineering, as I see it. And
Great.
I always say that you need to have your running shoes on when things change. So uh, this is the mindset.
Yep. So unfortunately, we only have one question in the question. So I'm gonna ask that question. If anybody else wants to ask a question before we're done answering, then we'll stay on for a little bit longer. But for now, um, we have how feasible is troubleshooting in AI-based systems compared to traditional approaches based on your experience in AI product? Oh my, we could talk about this all day. But Tal, you wanna take a stab at this?
So I think, wow, it goes to QA and problem solving and everything in a certain way. One of the things that kind of made me fall in love with Lovable is the situation where they say, I have a problem with the code. Okay, I'll fix it. This
Yeah,
is kind of the most exciting situation where you go to coders, and then they
yeah,
never said that. They said, I have a problem in the code, and then they stopped. They didn't say, okay, I'm going to fix it for you. I actually had to ask, and I don't need that anymore. So I think troubleshooting by AI on its own is kind of a new, exciting thing we're starting to figure out.
yeah,
I in my tools have a direct connection with my clients and users, so they actually say whenever something happens, and then I go to AI saying this user said that this is not working, and so on. And we're actually going through processes of troubleshooting that way. I think agents are going to dive into that position and become your new assistants for that.
so
This will take a while until we see that.
I can give you my production app answer, snapshot of the cutting edge right now in a very complex production app with a really massive code base. So we use Cursor. The whole team uses Cursor. It has now a issue finding bot inside Cursor as you're writing. So like you just finished working on a feature, it's already telling you what's wrong, and suggest and can fix it for you. Then you commit into GitHub. We then have multiple agents from different companies. So we have a Codex code review. We have Bugbot from Cursor code review, and they're finding bugs. My engineers are saying this is better than a senior engineer reviewing your code, because A, it actually reads every line. B, it finds things that are very nuanced, and C, it actually returns a response within a minute instead of like or 5 minutes instead of like a week later. So that part is really really powerful already. It doesn't find anything every time, so you still want a human. We still have a human look at everything, but honestly, the bots find more stuff than the humans. And this is all good stuff, good issues that we need to address. The other thing that we use AI for is to write automated tests, and at this they are awesome. Like we went from very little test coverage to very very large test coverage, and we're still working on it, but essentially you can write hundreds of tests in a week if you want to, and good tests. Like you just need the clarity of what needs to be tested, and the AI can write it for you. So both of these things now catch more and more. We do end-to-end testing, unit testing with AI. So I think we're going to get to a point where AI code with AI testing and AI bug finding, the code it's better. Honestly, it's better than a 4-person company would be. Before. So Nikita, that's your question. I see we have a couple of other questions. So cool. Lena is asking, how do you account for accessibility in coding with AI? That's a question
So
for you. Yeah.
yeah, I'll start, and I'll say that you just have to ask for your code generator to take care of accessibility. In the local market, we have different versions of accessibility laws and regulations. All you need to do is ask the code to actually go through the regulations and figure out what to do with that, and then update the accessibility documentation and just take care of it. It's kind of, again, becoming a manager without diving into the details. Of course, you need to make sure that things happened correctly and so on. But this is a very specific requirement that's very technical, and it's like any other feature that can be covered by AI, and we actually again get it fast and much better than human in some situations. So accessibility, security, there are things that we assume that are not mature enough. And what I see evolving in tools like Lovable is that they actually continue to improve their tools, knowing that everybody needs accessibility and everybody needs security and so on. And they actually add layers that cover that
Yeah.
by combining giant companies that this is their expertise, and doing some interesting, very, very smart matches that kind of add a layer that covers everything you need. So this is why I think you need to stay up to date with the changes, because they happen on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And these
Yeah.
tools kind of grow and become mature, not like they were a few
But
months ago.
but Lena, I think that's I don't know if there's a tool dedicated to accessibility. Here's what I would hack together if I was doing it. I would use one of these accessibility evaluators that give you a checklist of everything that's wrong, and then I would just feed it into AI to say, okay, here's a list of everything that's wrong with my accessibility. Please make a plan to fix it, and then it goes through and fixes each one. But there could be an opportunity here for a product, right, that does both the testing and the AI fixing, which by the way you could probably write yourself today. So so cool. A couple more questions. So from TJ Bowen, in the age of AI, beyond empathy, how does design or others curate good taste and trust for such features for an organization? Tal, this is something that you probably thought about a lot.
So, but beyond empathy, good taste is, as you know, and anyone may have different point of view on that, and then it goes to classic situations of testing different ideas and so on. Here, I don't see a difference, but what I do see is that in the age of AI, you go to AI and it creates the first idea for you, and it's not yours; it's the AI's, and the AI is usually using design systems that it has within the system, either ours or the product's design system, and then you get things that look the same. And I think one of the things that is being hurt in the process of moving towards AI is the ideation phase losing humanity within it. And I think I always used to teach my students that before you start designing, you have to spend a few hours with a pencil and paper, drawing ideas, thinking what you need to achieve. I think we're starting to skip that phase, that situation of kind of getting inspiration and looking at references and then bringing what you need. And I think this is going to hurt products and make products become a copy paste of AI tools. Everything is going to be the same. And then we're going to go back to that because everything is going to be the same. We had that period before. We had it when internet became kind of new, and we passed through the phase where all of the websites looked the same. They had a toolbar at the top and so on. And then we went into the one pager era where everything looks the same. I think we're going to turn into everything looks AI, because
Yeah.
this becomes the standard, and then we will find attention to. But what happens if I ask AI to be very different? Try that, by the way. I tried that with Lovable, and I got crazy animations on my design, which was kind of, I didn't even understand that I have the ability to do them. And from that point, I
Yeah.
actually started copying from the crazy idea it gave me. So
Yeah.
I think we need to manage taste and trust as designers, and own that. And I'm afraid if we go into makers and the one man show processes, this area is going to be suffering from lack of attention.
Yeah. I I I agree with everything here. I think that the taste is actually one of the key differentiators in the age of AI. And the amazing thing is you could still use AI. You just have to tell it more of what you want or change what it does to fit your taste. And um, and so I think if you were going to train anything for the future, train your taste. Actually, look at a lot of examples. Think about good design, because I think that's always going to be valuable. Uh, and then I think there's the problem of how to apply taste using AI coding tools, especially in a bigger product with a design system where you want to apply your sense of what the design system is to everything you build. That's still an open, unsolved problems. There are startups building for it, cursors building for it, but there's going to be a place for designers to own the brand voice and the design system, and there's going to be a place for it. We just don't doesn't exist yet. So you have to kind of work with. If you're going to be working with AI, you're going to have to tell it to fix things and tell it to change things to fit your design sensibility most of the time. So cool. One last question, and then I think we'll thank you, everyone. Okay, so this is from Matan. In the age of AI, we will see more solo designers who can iterate design right into production with cursor code or any other tool. Will we see? Yeah. Do you want to talk about that, Tal?
I think iterating and working on production is kind of two different ideas, and they don't work together because, again, going back to the philosophy of design, we always said that before you try something and dive deep into that, don't fall in love with your first idea. Try six different ways of arranging a design of a page, uh, and don't dive into details, because if you do, you'll miss the idea of kind of figuring out other options, and you'll stick to that. When we
Yep.
talk about production, I find it really hard for a designer as creative as they could be to think of something very different than what they see in front of them and fixing pixels, aligning, or I don't know, changing fonts and sizes and so on. They will not be able to dramatically create a very different take on that, because they're fixing UI. They're not thinking dramatically what different ideas could actually work, and then bringing that to code. I think A/B testing, which we have been seeing for many years in marketing and kind of conversion optimization processes, is something that product design should enjoy. And theoretically, I could actually have two different versions of the same page done by AI and then test A/B testing for product, which is kind of a promising idea. I don't see any of that idea starting to roll out yet, and maybe this is where we're heading, optimizing A/B testing on product features, which is kind of something we couldn't do until now.
Yeah, I can tell you as a founder who's a I'm the only product slash designer in the company right now. We go on a call with customers and they give me some feedback, and then I go out, and our process is actually we file a ticket in linear, and then in linear you can actually assign it to a bot to do. You can assign it to Cursor. So I write a ticket in linear and I assign it to Cursor, and then Cursor does it, and then either I look at it or I assign it to someone else to review it, and sometimes it's out on production on the same day. And it's a new idea, it's a new feature, but these tend to be smaller things. Bigger things, yeah, we test them a while. We test them a while on development server, and make sure that they're right. And I think I like the idea of A/B testing in production. I think that's more possible now than ever, for sure.
But
Um,
let's
so
let's keep the ideation phase and the production phase still
yeah,
separate because they're
sure.
they're different states of mind, and we need to keep them uh, apart.
I agree with that. All right. Tal, I wanted to thank you very much. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for your questions. There's some good engaged questions, and yeah, please keep in touch with us. We're gonna keep doing these events, on average once a month, and we have some more exciting ones coming. And please follow Tal Florentin, and his stuff on social media, on LinkedIn. Tal, feel free to put your LinkedIn in the chat if you want everybody to follow you. He has some interesting ideas and interesting stuff on LinkedIn that I'm seeing. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much.